case you're wondering, hey, where'd you go? Well, like I was saying, at least leading up to last week, I was at Summer Games Done Quick in Minnesota. I was able to do my thing for both MGX and MGS2 for doing commentary for Dlimes' run, which, by the way, both of those YouTube vids are out there. They've been out there, but just in case, you just haven't seen it yet. But the link to the Metal Gear MSX run that I did is on Games Done Quick's YouTube page, so I put a link to that. And then if you wanted to hear the comms that I did along with Glenn and Apache for Dlimes' run, there's a link for that too. And if you guys want, I could put a link to the photo album that they posted. Games Done Quick, they something I wasn't aware of was that they were taking pictures throughout the whole week, photos and stuff. So they uploaded them all digitally to some like photo album website or whatever it was, and I linked it on Twitter. But if you want, I could put that on the Nightbot as well in case people are interested. Ninjas with cameras. It's funny. I only really noticed until when Dlimes was due up, because when I pulled up pictures of myself, I had no clue they were there. I was just so focused on what I was doing that I had no idea they were even taking pictures. I knew there was the webcam, well, the camera, I guess. But that was it. Like, I was just, like, once I was off the first few minutes, I was just completely zoned in, right? And in case if you're all wondering how GDQ went, it went absolutely fantastic. Got there Wednesday afternoonish. Got to the hotel around like 3:30, close to 4. It was a little drained from the traveling, but I mean, I was excited, right? And it's funny when I say this, but I was more nervous about getting there and the lead up to my run than the actual run itself. Right? Some people might think, well, oh my God, you must have been sweating bullets when you were up there running. And my answer to that is no, I was actually as comfortable as I can be. Maybe not as comfortable as streaming from home here, but like I said, once I got that run started and I was past the first like 4 or 5 minutes, I was in my groove. And Glenn did a really excellent job doing commentary for that run. I know he was gonna be there, right, as an attendee, and I knew he was gonna pull it off very well for MGMSX. So I definitely give big props to Glenn for backing me up, because that's what helped it made it easier, was knowing that you had somebody backing you up. And then oh boy, dude, there's just so much stuff to tell, but overall, my MGX run went great. Was underestimate. I was not going to go for PB pace. I already told you guys I wasn't going to do it. There was just no way I was going to risk a death in Building 2 from doing something stupid for like PB, risky strats. So it was a 23-22, I think it was, which was more than enough. I even did stuff deliberately just for entertainment, which I definitely think I hit the mark on that. Then the next day, which would be, well, my run was Thursday, June 30th. So the following day, Friday, we went to the Mall of America. For those that have been out to Minnesota before, or if you live out there, it was a first for me. We visited the Mall of America out there and got to see the sea aquarium that was there. It was pretty cool. I got a lot of pictures, which I'll have to go through and upload them on Twitter and Discord at some point. But it was kind of like, like a mini vacay day, because I wasn't scheduled for anything on Friday. So it was kind of like a free day. Then Saturday, or actually, no, don't take it back. So Friday, I'm trying to think. I think it was like Friday afternoon-ish when I got back. Dlimes came in to Minnesota. He drove, poor guy, 10 plus hours from where he lives in Ohio out to Minnesota. But hey, he was committed, and I was able to meet him in person. And of course, same with Glenn, like the day before. Then it was Saturday, which was like the big day, right? I mean, the big day for me was Thursday, and then the second big day was Saturday for Dlimes' run. And I'm sure you guys must have heard from him either directly or part of his run, outro speech at the end of his run. He wasn't feeling well leading up to it, right? And I think it was like a mix of him driving for a long time, so he was probably worn out, whatever he ate the night before, and just, I guess, the GDQ nerves. And I basically tried to reassure him that, he was going to do fine, and that myself, Glenn, and Apache, who was on commentary via Discord, which was actually interesting because even though it was on site, Games Done Quick did allow for remote commentators should you want any. They would just need some kind of like advance notice of that so they can, get them in the Discord, prep them, tech check and all that stuff. So it was really nice having both myself, Glenn, and Apache on commentary for Dlimes' run, because I felt like that was really like as chill of a commentary backup for Dlimes as it could be. And even though Apache was remote, like I said in my tweet, I did feel like he was there, just from like the nice vibe that we had between the four of us. And I gotta say, with my run, it was probably as exciting and entertaining as I could make it be. But Dlimes, dude, European Extreme, MGS2, PC, Game Over if Discovered turned on, which changes how you run the game quite a bit. Big Boss at a freaking GDQ live. I could not believe it until I saw him finish that run. I knew in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, he's on Big Boss pace, and I didn't want to say anything, right? Don't want to jinx it. And the frickin' madman gets a Big Boss run on GDQ for MGS2. Which, as of that game, was a first at a marathon. I think Big Boss has been done before for other games, but it was a first for MGS2 at a marathon. And I gotta say, as rough as Dlimes was that morning, he absolutely killed it. I mean, really the only big mistake he made in that run, which I'm sure he knows, was the Nikita section for Shell 2. He forgot to wake up President Johnson. And of course, you don't really want to say, oh, Dlimes, you forgot to wake up the president. Because honestly, I either didn't notice or I didn't want to say anything again, because we're all kind of like in the moment. But even with that, he did very well. And I don't think the pictures on the photo album show it, but after his run was over and they went into intermission for the GDQ layout on stream, Glenn and I went up to him and he just gave us like these big bear hugs, dude. And I was just like, dude, you fucking did it. It's like, dude, you got freaking Big Boss. Because I could just tell that he was so relieved when that run was over. For me, with MGX, I almost felt like I could have kept going for like another half hour. Right? Even though I was joking like, oh man, I don't know how I'm going to be feeling that day. And thankfully with my run, it was pushed later in the schedule. Poor Dlimes, his run was pulled earlier. Like, my run was supposed to be, like, at 7:30 a.m. originally, and it got pushed out to 11. Of course, I'm not complaining. Which, of course, again, the event organizers and scheduling didn't like that, but it's not my fault. Poor Dlimes, on the other hand, his run got pushed earlier in the morning, which he was just traveling the day before, so the poor guy didn't really get time to rest, hardly. But somehow, pulls off a Big Boss run, and I gotta applaud him. And so, once again, if you wanted to check out the Metal Gear MSX run that I did, or the MGS2 run I did, part commentary for, both of those are on YouTube. Definitely give them a watch. Hey, what's up, Jameson? That's right, I have returned. Which leads to the next thing. Since I got back, what was it? Saturday. Well, see, here's the thing. I was originally supposed to come back Sunday of that week for GDQ week. Then here was the thing that happened kind of like in the background while I was on my way to GDQ, while I was there and coming home Saturday, was that one of my aunts and my family on my mom's side, one of her sisters, they had fallen ill and they were admitted to the hospital. It wasn't for COVID or anything like that, but it was still pretty serious. Long story short, they somehow contracted this bacterial meningitis, which had spread throughout parts of her internal organs and her blood, and it just created a list of problems, right, that were all kind of like stacking the deck against her in terms of recovery. So she was admitted to the hospital, I think, the day we left for GDQ, which would have been a Wednesday. And it wasn't until Friday, I think late Saturday, that we found out that her condition kind of drastically declined. Like, there was a moment where she started to rally back, but, of course, with these things, her health declined. And then it was Sunday that my aunt passed away. She, her kids, my cousins, they're all like in their mid-20s, upper 20s, and I think the oldest is like 30. They all came to the decision that they didn't want to try to put her on life support or anything because some of the things that they found that needed to be addressed, besides the initial problem she was admitted in with, would have made it a very like struggling and miserable life. And so they came to the decision to kind of let her pass peacefully. And so when I came back Sunday, my other aunt that came in for that, she was here up until yesterday, and then my cousins were coming in like every other day since I think it was like Monday. So it was good seeing them. I was trying to comfort my my mom, my cousins, and trying to get through all this stuff and help them out. And it was one of those times where I wish I could have been streaming during that time, but it wouldn't have been right. Plus at the same time, I just had no idea like what the next day was going to be like for all this stuff. So that's why I was absent from streaming since, well, obviously when I was on GDQ this past weekend, but it was just with trying to help the family grieve and all that stuff. And like I said, it was very peaceful. She did have some like underlying health conditions leading up to her being admitted, but it was just it was unfortunately a peaceful death. Like, it was unfortunate, but that she was even in this like kind of predicament in the first place, but she passed away peacefully. And the three of them, my cousins, they just kind of decided together to do what they thought was best. But I guess to lighten the mood a bit, because that was kind of the down part of it, the upside of everything that's been going on is, well, I'm wearing one of them, which is my Summer Games Done Quick runner shirt, which people that ran on site, if they pre-registered with the Yeti, you're able to pick up your shirt, which I did. And this is very comfortable, by the way, in case people were wondering. And there's a bunch of other like minor things that I got, some like GDQ, merchandise, memorabilia, but also this thing right here. Of course, it decides to turn when I try to hold it up to the webcam, but man, look at that. Man, this thing is just like, all the work that I put in and the repeated, efforts to try to get into this. And this really hits it home. Like, when I got my hand on this when I checked in, like, I was speechless. Like, I just honestly couldn't believe it that it was really happening until I got there, checked in, and they handed this to me. And it's certainly a, you know, a nice memento of that whole thing, which not only do I have that, but in case you can't see, but there's this little, like, picture frame back here, which I will gladly show you guys. I posted this on Twitter and Discord yesterday because it was my aunt's last day in town before she had to fly back home, where she had asked me for the link to the Games Done Quick digital photo album that I talked about. And she had asked me, oh, just pick out a few of your favorite photos from it, because they took, like, I think it was like 5 or 6 or something. One that I thought was a duplicate, but anyways, I just picked out a few, and then right before she left, and even without telling me, because I had no idea why she even asked, I figured just for having it. But look at this. You know, she was able to take, and of course the light's reflecting, so maybe I can do this. So she was able to take the photos from the digital album that I handed to her, and she picked out 3 of the ones that I picked out, and she was able to frame it. Which, like the badge, I mean, this is really something that just is, you know, truly remarkable. You know, not only just for getting in, but the trip, the runs, getting to meet, you know, Dlimes, Glenn. I met, you know, Precious Roy, or just Roy from the MGSR community. I met a bunch of other people as well, whether if I knew them or not ahead of time. But it was a really good trip, you know, and they were, as far as the, oh, let me put this back. As far as the, like, hotel accommodations for this thing, it's a really nice venue. And as far as, like, the event space, they were, at least from what I've observed, they were moderately, like, checking, like, that people were, you know, wearing masks and spacing out where appropriate and all that stuff, and they were pretty diligent about that stuff and had sanitizers. They even provided us masks there, which were provided by Doctors Without Borders, which, almost forgot, in addition to the Yeti table that was there for shirts and some of the other ones for GDQ merchandise, but Doctors Without Borders not only provided us with the masks that you probably saw on stream, but they also had these. It's like these, let's see if I can go the other way. So they had these that they were giving away, which, I don't know, it's like a nice, like, tablecloth or something, or you could turn it into, I don't know, whatever, but it was really nice, just kind of, like, I thought it was a really nice treat just from not only just being there, but, like, getting some of this stuff. And, of course, big shout-outs again to Doctors Without Borders for providing that stuff. In addition to the masks, which, the masks were cool looking, although I'm going to be honest, and, you know, and I think even Glenn told me right before I even, like, met him, was, the masks were cool looking, but they were very uncomfortable to wear. And I'm talking just about the way you have to put them on. You know, they're not the kind where they fit, like, on the sides that you may be used to. They were kind of like, you had to pull, like, the bottom strap back to your neck, and then there's, like, a top strap that goes to the back of your head, so it's kind of like the other way. When I met one of the staff there, and when I checked in and I was trying to put the mask on, I honestly had a hard time. I was like, how the hell do you put this on? Like, I was trying to put it on the way that I'm normally used to wearing them, and I swear to God, it was like a freaking Papeka moment. I'm like, dude, how the hell do I put this on? Which they were nice enough to show me and all that stuff, but they were cool looking, but they were not the most comfortable to wear, which I understood. It was the price to pay to even have it there. And then I guess the last thing I'll mention, which I'm sure everybody else heard about, because I know I'm just rambling now. Hey, what's up, Schmuckle? I did hear about what happened with the Revengeance run, with Mecha, as well as the Blade Wolf DLC run. And when I found out about it, I was kind of mixed on how I felt. Because, for one, I felt bad because, you know, I was trying to help not only for myself, but promote, you know, support for him, for Dlimes, for Glenn, you know, who was going to be doing commentary for my run. So we were all trying to, like, promote each other's runs for support leading up to this thing. And to find out that the Blade Wolf DLC was not a legitimate run and it was, like, premeditated, whatever they found out. And, you know, I'm not surprised that they did what they had to do. But the other part of my mixed emotion, other than just feeling bad, was probably a little bit ticked off because it was a donation incentive run. You know, people donated money to see that run. And, you know, it wasn't legitimate. You know, it was a spliced run that, you know, was not him actually playing. And why they did it, I'm not going to try to get into that. But at the end of the day, you know, it's something that they have to live with. I wish them all the best, but it's a damn shame that it happened in the first place, you know, and I certainly feel bad for, like, the Revengeance community, you know, the speedrunners, because that's going to be a stain on them for some time. And, you know, and I feel bad for, like, future submissions for that game, because that's going to be, like, the first thing people think of is that controversy, and it's not fair. You know, it's not fair to them. It's not fair to MGSR either, even though we're kind of like separate communities for Discords and such. And I also feel bad that if it's going to scrutinize, like, online submissions in the future because of what happened. And I don't know. The ban was, you know, pretty much the only solution. You know, you can't cheat a run and then expect to get away with it. I mean, the GDQ brand would be it would be a spiral, like, you know, revolving door of just people cheating runs then if they allowed it. And, you know, it's something they'll have to live with. I hope it doesn't, you know, create, like, this tension for future Revengeance run submissions. You know, because, see, like, again, that's what really gets to me is, like, I ran the game for some time here. Not the Blade Wolf DLC, but, like, the main base game. So, like, I ran that game. I was looking forward to watching that run and the DLC incentive get met. And I know there's people within the Revengeance speedrunning community that either wanted to get in or tried to get in but didn't because, you know, Mecha got in and he basically burned the bridge. You know, he burned that bridge. You know, and that's what's not fair. So, it doesn't change my feelings about, like, the Revengeance community because I know there's a bunch of good people in there. Really talented runners, too. But at the same time, you know, it was a donation incentive, man. People donated money for it, and then you had to, whether if you wanted the fame of world recording at a GDQ, or if it was just to, like, pull one over on GDQ saying, like, haha, I, you know, did this and you didn't know. Whatever the reason, it's not acceptable. You know, you gotta come forward with, you know, like, you gotta run it as is. You know, at your best, your worst, in between. You know, the frickin' Mario Sunshine run at GDQ. If you heard, like, an hour, maybe like less than an hour in, they game overed because they didn't see how many lives they had left. And they didn't have any save data for a backup. But I'll tell you what, they had more guts to go through the rest of that run, despite the fact they probably were not prepared for having a game, you know, like, end like that and try to start over. they had more courage to go through that than what happened with the Blade Wolf DLC. I mean, you fucking cheated. You know, if you're not gonna play your best, fine. I mean, I don't think there was anybody that ran at GDQ that did it like 100% perfect, but you just don't cheat, no matter what the reason. And that's what gets me ticked off, because I feel like that puts a black eye on the Revengeance speedrunning community, and it's gonna burn the bridge for submissions, you know, until they, you know, I guess regain trust with GDQ or something or whatever. And that's what's not fair. But anyways, that was kind of my thoughts on the thing. You know, Mecha has to pay the price, and, you know, the ban was what was enforced, the runs removed and all that. I mean, you got to protect the brand. I get it. And I hope it doesn't stop people from submitting that game in the future because of what happened. But, you know, like I said, I felt bad that it happened, but I was ticked off of just the repercussions of it. And they'll have to live with the consequences. Okay, so that in a nutshell was how things have went. You know, I'll probably get more into it like throughout the days as I, you know, either it gets brought up or whatever. But overall, my GDQ experience was really nice. Staff treated me really well. There was a bit of a little like communication kerfuffle like on the day of my run, like leading up to it. Like we had to report in like 30 minutes before my run time, and you know, Glenn and I showed up, and then they kind of told us to leave, and then I get pinged in a Discord saying to go back in. And I was kind of like, okay. So obviously there was some like organizational hiccups, given they were doing online only for like the past like what 2.5 years, and this is like the first on-site run since I think it was SGDQ2020 or whatever. So I expect that there was going to be some tumbling of things that were happening, and I could tell that they were trying their best to keep things on track, you know. And the tech guys that set up my PS3 were really nice, really professional. You know, they tech checked Glenn and myself, you know, very well. I mean, they adjusted everything, and Glenn and I, or mostly me, I guess, because I needed to hear everything. They had everything adjusted very well. I didn't have any issues with my controls or anything. I was plugged in just because I changed my mind about trying to go wireless. I didn't want the damn thing to disconnect in the middle of a run, so I just didn't want to chance it. But yeah, so they treated me very well, and I know they tried their best to keep things on schedule. I know there were some runs that got taken off the schedule to help keep the run, or not the run, but the marathon on pace for like when they wanted it to end. And you know, so I think they'll take some lessons learned about the marathon as far as like a setup, organizational perspective, or whatever you call it, and then they'll hopefully apply that to the, you know, the next one. Hey, what's up, Tarag? Or is it Tirag? Great job at GQ. Hey, thanks. So, let's go ahead and do a run. You know, I probably should have swapped the... should have changed the game category to just chatting, because that's pretty much what I did for the first, like, half hour. So, not to, you know, bait people to think I was actually running something as soon as I booted up, but I did want to at least talk about it, because, you know, you can only fit so much in a tweet or Discord message.